Hello everyone, Clacka the Geek here. Welcome back to the Clacka Chronicles, and today I'm going to be reviewing Doctor Who Series 12, Episode 7, Can You Hear Me? And personally, I think this is my favourite episode of the Jodie Whittaker era so far. Not saying it didn't have flaws, because it definitely did. Basically every Doctor episode has some nitpick or flaw with it, and this had a few. But overall, I was just immersed in this episode. There wasn't really a time where I was bored or I zoned out like a lot of the episodes in the Jodie Whittaker era so far. And I was just immersed in it. I don't know why. I just loved it, personally. And here's why. So let's start at the beginning with the pre-title sequences returning. Thank God the pre-title sequence is returning. It was quite a good pre-title sequence. However, it wasn't as effective because they didn't use the sting at the beginning of the Doctor Who theme tune, which is something that needs to happen. But I'm glad we're getting a pre-title sequence for this episode. It really worked for this episode. So the plot of the episode is quite complex. Well, I'll say complex. It's simple on paper, but it is complex in execution, and it is very intriguing, I think. So what it is that there's these two godlike beings who are infecting people's dreams and nightmares throughout the world. So you've got people from ancient Syria getting infected and people from present day Sheffield getting infected, and they're like sort of feasting on their fears, and I love that concept. It's just such a creepy, dark concept, and I just love it. I love it when you get stuff like that. I just do. I love dark, twisted sort of stories. Now, I thought the characters in this episode were decent. I think the TARDIS team were brilliant in the episode. I think it's probably one of their best episodes. I mean, the companions near the beginning of the episode, you see them in like Sheffield, and I like that sort of domesticated character sort of drama that you see. You know, you see Ryan with his mate, you see Yaz with her sister, you see Graham with some of his friends, you know. I like that sort of grounded, realistic sort of character drama. Which is one of the only few things I liked about Rapids in the UK from last season, and I'm glad that we get a bit more of it here, because that's some of the stuff I do quite like in Doctor Who. Once again, you had Graham giving us some brilliant one-liners, as usual, and Ryan and Yaz were very good in the episode as well, and I'll get onto a scene later on with Yaz, but yeah, they were very good. And I thought Jodie Whittaker was very good. I thought when she was like sort of being manipulated by the godlike people, her reactions, like she was so scared, she was very scared, and she was very sort of like worried, and her acting was very good in those sort of scenes. And then the villains of the episode I thought were brilliant. Well, not brilliant, but I thought they were very good, very creepy, especially Zelin, I think his name was. He's a guy on screen right now. I thought he was really good. The way he's his look is very ominous, and the way he speaks, his mannerisms, he's very chilling, I gotta say. And the other one, I can't remember the name of, but she was quite good, but not as good as he was, because he was brilliant, I gotta say. However, the other side characters didn't really need to be there. Like, I'm talking about the ones who ended up on the space station. So there was that girl from Syria, I think, like that girl from ancient Syria, and there was one of Ryan's mates. They got captured. They weren't really in it too much, but they didn't really need to be there. But when they were sort of in their own time, I think they were fine there. But when they were on the space station, they didn't really need to be there. So now I want to talk about the episode's sort of aesthetic look. So the direction, cinematography, music, lighting. It's stunning. It looks stunning. You know, when you get Zelin, who sort of when he transports somewhere, he like morphs from this like smoke, and he appears from this smoke. It's really good stuff. And then the lighting, like in the TARDIS when it goes red when he appears, it's really good stuff. And then some of the music is honestly chilling. Like when Zelin appears at one point, the music in certain scenes sounds like it's somebody screaming. And I think it's touches like that which can really make or break an episode's tension. And it's what makes the episode suspense effective, in my opinion. And then the special effects, like the CGI, the space station, it looks gorgeous. I was honestly like, oh my God, that is terrific stuff, because it looks lovely. Like the lighting, the dark but light atmosphere, the planets sort of colliding. It looks gorgeous. It genuinely does. There's one thing I can criticise about the sort of aesthetics of the episode. It's that the CGI werewolf at one point, which was the girl from Ancient Syria's sort of nightmare, when you see the full sort of werewolf, the CGI is really dodgy. When it's just like the claw that you see, like wrapping around people's faces, that's good. But when it's like the full thing, it just looks really dodgy and not very convincing. And also, a small little thing I want to point out, the Zelin, he made a reference to the Celestial Toymaker, which, if you don't know, was from one of William Hartnell's episodes. It's a missing story, but what does exist of it is fantastic. But yeah, he was like, the Toymaker would approve, because they're like godlike beings. Love that reference. And apparently there's like a reference to the Black and White Guardian. Need to give it a rewatch to fully try and get that, but if there is, then whoever wrote this episode clearly knows the knowledge. And I also really like how a lot of the things that have been in this series have really come together. Like in a lot of their in the companions' nightmares, you had in Ryan's nightmare that it was on fire and his friend was like super old, and there were the dregs from Orphan 55. Although I don't like Orphan 55, I like that it was still sort of affecting him. Still quite good. That's quite good how it's still affecting him. And then with Graham, it was like a nightmare about his cancer coming back, and Grace was there saying he's only got a couple of hours. And that was really good stuff. I'm glad Grace is back again, even if it was like for a vision, like a nightmare thing. And the Doctor's worst fear in her nightmare was about the timeless child. You heard Sacha Dhawan's master giving the voiceover, and yeah, really interested to see. We get a bit more of that vision that we saw in Spyfall Part 2. It's really starting to come into its own. I'm really interested to see where they're going to go with this timeless child thing. So now I'm going to talk about the message of the story. And this week, the message was about mental health. Now, what I'm about to say is all my opinion. Please don't get angry in the comments saying, oh my god, this is just rubbish. But I personally think that the message was handled fine. I think it's been done better before, like in Vincent and the Doctor. It was done better there. But I think in this episode, it was done fine. It wasn't necessarily subtle, but it wasn't overly preachy. I think it struck the right balance for me. And you had scenes with Yaz having a flashback to, struggling as a teenager. You had stuff with Graham talking about his fear of his cancer coming back. And you had stuff with Ryan and his friendships. And I think this is all in the last 10 minutes. And I think it was done fine. I like the fact that throughout the episode the themes of nightmares and dreams sort of reflected the mental health issue, and the title is actually quite clever, because the way I interpret it is, Can You Hear Me? Is for me a sort of a metaphor of how people with mental health issues feel like their voices aren't being heard, and that is a really lovely way of doing it, I think. And some of those scenes at the end, they really hit close to home. They really did. And I was moved by them, personally. That's still my opinion, but I think they were done fine. So personally, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I thought it was fantastic. And that's all from me. Hope you enjoyed this review. What do you guys think of the episode? Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And this is Clacka the Geek, signing out.